The National Electrical Code, known as the NEC, serves as a cornerstone for electrical safety and standardization across the United States. It's a comprehensive set of guidelines designed to safeguard people and property from hazards arising from the use of electricity. Understanding the NEC is crucial for electricians, engineers, inspectors, and anyone involved in electrical work. The NEC is not a law itself, but it is widely adopted by states and municipalities, becoming legally enforceable through local ordinances. It's updated every 3 years by the National Fire Protection Association, or NFPA, ensuring that it stays current with the latest technological advancements and safety practices. The NEC covers a broad range of electrical topics, from wiring methods and overcurrent protection to grounding and bonding. It addresses various types of electrical installations, including residential, commercial, and industrial settings. The code is organized into chapters, articles, and sections, each addressing specific aspects of electrical systems. Navigating the NEC effectively requires a systematic approach. Firstly, it's essential to understand the overall structure and organization of the code book. The NEC is divided into 9 chapters, each covering a major area of electrical systems. Chapter 1 deals with general requirements, providing definitions, rules of interpretation, and administrative provisions. Chapter 2 focuses on wiring and protection, including topics such as wiring methods, conductor sizing, overcurrent protection, and grounding. Chapter 3 covers wiring method and materials, detailing the approved types of wiring systems and their installation requirements. Chapter 4 addresses equipment for general use, covering items such as receptacles, switches, lighting fixtures, and appliances. Chapter 5 focuses on special occupancies, providing additional requirements for locations such as hazardous areas, healthcare facilities, and theaters. Chapter 6 covers special equipment, addressing items such as electric signs, elevators, and data processing systems. Chapter 7 deals with special conditions, including emergency systems, fire alarm systems, and critical operations power systems. Chapter 8 focuses on communications systems, covering topics such as telephone, cable television, and network cabling. Chapter 9 contains tables and examples, providing supplementary information to aid in the application of the code. Secondly, it's crucial to become familiar with the key definitions and terminology used throughout the NEC. The code includes a comprehensive glossary of terms, defining specific electrical concepts and equipment. Understanding these definitions is essential for interpreting the requirements accurately. For example, the definition of grounding is critical for understanding the requirements for grounding electrical systems. Similarly, the definition of overcurrent protection is essential for selecting and installing the appropriate fuses and circuit breakers. Thirdly, it's important to develop a systematic approach to researching specific code requirements. When faced with a particular electrical installation, it's helpful to start by identifying the relevant sections of the NEC. This can be done by using the index, which provides a comprehensive listing of topics and their corresponding code sections. Once the relevant sections have been identified, it's important to read them carefully and to consider all of the applicable requirements. It's also helpful to consult with experienced electricians or electrical engineers who can provide guidance and clarification on complex code issues. Understanding conductor ampacity is a fundamental aspect of electrical wiring and is crucial for ensuring safety and preventing overheating. The NEC provides tables that specify the allowable ampacities of different conductor types and sizes, based on factors such as insulation type, temperature rating, and installation conditions. These tables are found in NEC section 310.15 and its accompanying tables such as table 310.16. The ampacity of a conductor is the maximum current in amps that it can carry continuously under specific conditions without exceeding its temperature rating. Exceeding the ampacity rating can lead to overheating, insulation damage, and potentially electrical fires. Several factors influence the ampacity of a conductor. Firstly, the conductor's size, measured in American wire gauge, or AUG, is a primary determinant. Larger conductors have a greater cross-sectional area and can therefore carry more current. Secondly, the insulation type affects ampacity. Different insulation materials have different temperature ratings, which determine how much heat the conductor can withstand. Common insulation types include THHN, THWN, and XHHW, each with different temperature ratings. Thirdly, the ambient temperature surrounding the conductor influences ampacity. Higher ambient temperatures reduce the conductor's ability to dissipate heat, thereby lowering its ampacity. Fourthly, the number of conductors bundled together in a raceway or cable affects ampacity. When multiple conductors are bundled, they generate more heat, requiring a reduction in ampacity to prevent overheating. The NEC provides adjustment factors for varying conductor ampacity based on the number of conductors in a raceway or cable. To determine the appropriate conductor size for a given application, it's necessary to calculate the load current and apply any necessary varying factors. The load current is the amount of current that the circuit is expected to carry under normal operating conditions. Varying factors are applied to account for ambient temperature, the number of conductors in a raceway, and other factors that can reduce ampacity. Once the adjusted ampacity is determined, the appropriate conductor size can be selected from the NEC tables. Grounding and bonding are essential for electrical safety, providing a path for fault current to flow back to the source, tripping the overcurrent protective device and preventing electrical shock hazards. Grounding refers to connecting the electrical system to the earth, providing a low impedance path for fault current. Bonding refers to connecting non-current carrying metal parts of the electrical system together, creating an electrically conductive path. The NEC specifies detailed requirements for grounding and bonding, covering various aspects of electrical systems, including service equipment grounding electrodes and equipment grounding conductors. The grounding electrode system is a critical component of the grounding system, providing a connection to the earth. Common grounding electrodes include metal underground water pipes, ground rods, and concrete encased electrodes. The NEC specifies the minimum requirements for grounding electrodes, including their size, material, and installation depth. The equipment grounding conductor, or EG, is a conductor that connects non-current carrying metal parts of electrical equipment to the grounding system. The EGC provides a low impedance path for fault current, ensuring that the overcurrent protective device will trip quickly in the event of a fault. The NEC specifies the size and type of EGC required for different types of electrical equipment. Ground fault circuit interrupters, known as GFCIs, are life-saving devices that protect people from electrical shock hazards. GFCIs monitor the current flowing in a circuit and quickly interrupt the power if a ground fault is detected. A ground fault occurs when current flows through an unintended path to ground, such as through a person's body. GFCIs are required in many locations, including bathrooms, kitchens, and outdoor areas. The NEC specifies the locations where GFCIs are required, as well as the performance requirements for GFCIs. Arc fault circuit interrupters, known as FSIs, are devices that protect against electrical fires caused by arc faults. Arc faults are dangerous electrical discharges that can occur when insulation breaks down or when connections become loose. FSIs detect arc faults and quickly interrupt the power, preventing the arc fault from igniting nearby materials. FSIs are required in many locations, including bedrooms, living rooms, and dining rooms. The NEC specifies the locations where FSIs are required, as well as the performance requirements for FSIs. Overcurrent protection is essential for protecting electrical systems from damage caused by excessive current. Overcurrent protective devices, such as fuses and circuit breakers, are designed to interrupt the flow of current when it exceeds a predetermined level. The NEC specifies the requirements for overcurrent protection, including the selection and installation of fuses and circuit breakers. Fuses are overcurrent protective devices that contain a fusible link that melts and interrupts the circuit when the current exceeds the fuse's rating. Circuit breakers are overcurrent protective devices that use a mechanical mechanism to interrupt the circuit when the current exceeds the breaker's rating. The NEC specifies the types of fuses and circuit breakers that are permitted for different applications. Wiring methods refer to the types of wiring systems used to install electrical conductors. The NEC recognizes a variety of wiring methods, each with its own set of installation requirements. Common wiring methods include non-metallic sheath cable, or NM cable, rigid metal conduit, or RMC, electrical metallic tubing, or IMT, and flexible metal conduit, or FMC. NM cable is a type of cable that contains insulated conductors enclosed in a non-metallic sheath. NM cable is commonly used in residential wiring. RMC is a type of rigid steel conduit that provides excellent protection for electrical conductors. RMC is commonly used in commercial and industrial applications. EMT is a type of lightweight steel conduit that is easy to install. EMT is commonly used in commercial and residential applications. FMC is a type of flexible metal conduit that is used to protect electrical conductors in locations where flexibility is required. The NEC specifies the permitted uses and installation requirements for each type of wiring method. Electrical boxes are enclosures used to protect electrical connections and devices. The NEC specifies the types of electrical boxes that are permitted for different applications, as well as the requirements for installing electrical boxes. Electrical boxes must be properly sized to accommodate the conductors and devices that they contain. They must also be securely mounted and grounded. Electrical boxes are available in a variety of materials, including metal and non-metallic. The NEC specifies the types of electrical boxes that are permitted for use in different locations. Working clearances are the spaces around electrical equipment that are required to provide safe access for maintenance and repair. The NEC specifies the minimum working clearances required for different types of electrical equipment, including switchboards, panel boards, and motor control centers. These clearances are designed to protect electricians and other workers from electrical hazards. The NEC also specifies the requirements for illumination in working spaces. Electrical safety is paramount, and the NEC provides numerous requirements to ensure the safe installation and operation of electrical systems. These requirements cover a wide range of topics, including grounding, bonding, overcurrent protection, and wiring methods. It's essential for electricians and other electrical workers to be thoroughly familiar with the NEC and to follow its requirements carefully. Failure to comply with the NEC can result in electrical hazards, including electrical shock, fires, and explosions. Regular inspections of electrical systems are essential to ensure that they are in compliance with the NEC and are operating safely. Electrical inspections are typically performed by qualified electrical inspectors who are trained to identify potential electrical hazards. These inspections can help to prevent electrical accidents and to ensure the safety of people and property. Continuing education is crucial for electricians and other electrical workers to stay up to date on the latest changes to the NEC and to maintain their skills and knowledge. The electrical industry is constantly evolving, with new technologies and safety practices being developed all the time. By participating in continuing education courses, electricians can ensure that they are providing the safest and most efficient electrical services possible. The NEC is a complex and comprehensive document, but it is essential for ensuring electrical safety. By understanding the NEC and following its requirements carefully, electricians and other electrical workers can help to prevent electrical hazards and to protect people and property from the dangers of electricity. Firstly, always disconnect power before working on any electrical circuit. Secondly, use properly insulated tools and equipment. Thirdly, wear appropriate personal protective equipment, such as safety glasses and gloves. Fourthly, never work on electrical equipment in wet or damp conditions. Fifthly, follow all applicable electrical codes and standards. Sixthly, if you are not qualified to work on electrical equipment, hire a licensed electrician. Seventhly, always double-check your work to ensure that it is safe and correct. Eighthly, be aware of your surroundings and potential hazards. Ninthly, take your time and do the job right. Tenthly, if you are unsure about something, ask for help. The NEC is the cornerstone of electrical safety in the United States. Its comprehensive guidelines aim to minimize electrical hazards. These measures safeguard both people and property. Mastering the NEC demands dedication. It requires a commitment to continuous learning. Staying current with the NEC updates is vital. This vigilance ensures adherence to the best safety practices. The benefits of NEC compliance are substantial. These include preventing electrical fires and reducing the risk of shock. A thorough understanding of the NEC is a valuable asset. It empowers professionals to create safe electrical environments.